Do you have 5 minutes? Really, even just a little less than 5 minutes. Amy and I had the pleasure of moving here to Florida 16 years ago this week. And it is so different living in Southwest Florida versus living in Pennsylvania. The weather, the whole lifestyle is just so very different. But the year we moved here, 2005, was a particularly active year with hurricanes. And I noticed something. That was is every time a tropical storm or a hurricane seemed to be approaching, the weather folks in the news media just seemed like a pack of sharks that were on a feeding frenzy. All of a sudden, overnight, they would get so excited. And there was something else I discovered. There were times when we needed to really, really pay attention. I remember when Hurricane Wilma came through as a Category 3. That was a fairly substantial storm. It did a lot of damage. But there were times when we had little tropical storms that came through, and I don't want to take away from it. You can still get flooding and things from it. But the tropical storms did not have anywhere near the implication of a major hurricane. But yet the news media, to a certain extent, would get so excited and begin to blow it out of proportion. Right now, there is a tropical storm brewing down in the Caribbean. Now, it's not even a tropical storm yet. It's not even really a depression yet. But they're saying it could be. And it might be coming up our coast sometime over the weekend. Do we have to pay attention to it? Absolutely. But you can already see the excitement that people are raising in the news media. But what does that do to you and me? It can make us very anxious and nervous. What does the Bible teach us about being troubled or being anxious or worried? Hear these words from the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verses 1 and 27. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. The New Revised Standard Version of the Bible translate the Greek as, do not let your hearts be troubled. Others could equally translate that as, do not let your heart be anxious. And then it goes on again later on in chapter 27, again to say, do not let your hearts be troubled. My dear friends, as Christians, we are not called to run about in an anxious state of life. It is just not supposed to be who we are. Because if we are just constantly anxious, it belies an underlying truth that we do not have faith in God. But if we have faith in God through Christ Jesus, there is no reason for us to be anxious about anything. Now, that doesn't mean we don't prepare. If we know a hurricane is coming our way, what do? We put up hurricane shutters. If you know a big snowstorm's coming your way up north, what do? You get some food, you prepare for potential electrical outage. But you do not go through your life anxious and troubled and worried about everything that is about to occur. Why? Because we have the promise that through Christ Jesus, God will take care of us. Yes, we have to do our part. And yes, there are times when we are faced with challenges, such as the COVID epidemic and pandemic. But the thing is, at the core of it, we are told to not let our hearts be troubled, to simply believe in God. Whatever you find is giving you anxiety this week, may you put your faith in God that God will indeed provide. May you and I do our part to protect ourselves and do the right things. But at the end of the day, may we never be anxious. May we never be afraid, but rather rest firmly in the faith that we have in God through Christ Jesus. Have a lovely week, and peace be with you.